Joining me now, Democratic Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania, a member of the Intelligence Committee and, of course, an advocate for his constituent, Pittsburgh-bred Marc Fogel. Senator, welcome. You've been working so hard with Marc Fogel's family to help bring him home. His family says there is, quote, a glaring injustice here. And the fact is he was not declared wrongfully detained, and that is a legal status by the State Department that begins the process of negotiating. Now they say they are negotiating for him for humanitarian grounds, that he has, been in prison so long and is not well. Talk to me about the letter that you sent to Secretary Blinken, urging the State Department to designate him wrongfully detained. What are you hearing?
Yeah, Andrea, first and foremost, I think it's important to remind folks again, as Ambassador McFaul and others have, that Marc is a teacher who's got health problems that have grown a lot worse in the time he's been incarcerated. And we've got to make sure that we continue to focus our attention on his case. His family is heartbroken that when this major deal came together, Marc wasn't part of it. But I met with Jake Sullivan the other night and urged him strongly to do two things: to continue to aggressively pursue Marc's release, and secondly, to say his name. And that's been a big change over the last 24 to 48 hours. You see members of the administration repeatedly saying his name. That alone is a change. We have to continue to focus on his case. I believe, based upon my review of the law, that he should have been designated wrongfully detained. But if that does not happen, our government has the authority and the resources to continue to pursue his release, regardless of the designation.
And just here on this program, we have been talking about him for several years, thanks to our friend Mike McFaul, who has been such a great advocate for him. But you're right, he has not got the celebrity or the focus or the backing, Oh, I have to say, though, that the Wall Street Journal and the Gershkovich family have been mentioning him as well, as they did Paul Whelan, who was left behind last time because we didn't have someone to offer. We didn't have the Krasikov. We didn't have the help of the other allies, as we just did. Turning to politics, I want to ask you about Kamala Harris. She's going to announce her VP pick anytime, probably Monday, Sunday, Monday, whatever, before Tuesday in Philadelphia. Governor Josh Shapiro has canceled his weekend activities, as have the other finalists, as far as we know. Is he a good fit for the ticket?
No question about it, Andrea. No, I'm not objective here. I know Josh is a great leader in our state, a very effective governor in the time he's been in office, but he's also a good friend, so I'm very biased in his favor. But I think he'd be a strong addition to this ticket. I think he would help enormously in Pennsylvania, but also some other states. But most importantly, and I think this is obviously, the decision is all in the hands of Vice President Harris. It's her decision to make. But there's no question, I think he's prepared to do the job of vice president. And if he had to take over as president, he'd be prepared to do that job as well.
What would be the pluses and the minuses of having the first historic black woman candidate for president and a Jewish vice presidential candidate?
Andrew, I think they're all pluses. Look, these are two very capable leaders, and I think I was saying earlier today in an interview, I haven't seen this kind of enthusiasm and the intensity behind that enthusiasm since 2008, when Barack Obama was a candidate for president. Kamala Harris is off to a strong start, and I think the vice presidential decision will be further evidence of strong momentum.